Okay, just let me know when you want
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
to
Assalamu alaikum
start.
everyone. My name
No
is Dilshad
rush.
and I am facilitator at Ryan School Islamabad campus. So viewers, today I talk with Maya. So Maya, let's get started. So Maya, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm doing well, thank you. Nice to finally properly start our conversation. Good to meet you, Vilsha.
I'm fine, Maya. So topic name is understanding writing and communication. Okay. So my first question is that what is the purpose of writing?
Good topic. The purpose of writing is really about connecting, communicating ideas, sharing stories, preserving knowledge. It's how we make sense of the world and share that understanding with others, whether it's sending a simple text to a friend or writing a whole book. What made you curious about the purpose of writing today?
Okay. So my next question is that from you, how does the writing improve thinking?
Writing actually forces you to organize your thoughts in a way talking doesn't. When you talk, you can jump around and restate things without really solidifying the idea. But when you write, you have to put it into a clear structure, figure out what comes first, what supports what else. It's like you're building with blocks instead of just talking about blocks, which makes your thinking a lot clearer and more focused.
Okay, so my next question is that from you, what makes communication effective?
That's a good one. To me, effective communication comes down to three things: clarity, empathy, and purpose. Clarity, because people need to actually understand what you're saying. Empathy, because understanding your audience and meeting them where they are is crucial. And purpose, because good communication is never just noise, it's aimed at some outcome or connection.
Okay, so my next question is that how do I define clarity in writing?
Clarity in writing isn't about using fancy words. It's opposite, really. It's about choosing the simplest, most direct language that gets your point across without confusion. Think short sentences, avoiding jargon unless your audience gets it, and organizing your ideas so they're easy to follow. The goal is to make it effortless for the reader to understand what you mean.
Okay, Maya. So my next question is that what are my biggest writing challenges?
That's actually a great question to ask yourself directly. I can't know for sure. But some common writing struggles people deal with are getting started, staying focused when you're in the middle of something, knowing how to organize ideas, or being too hard on yourself with editing. What's the writing part that feels toughest for you right now?
Okay, so how can I improve my vocabulary?
Vocabulary growth comes down to exposure and context, honestly. Read a lot, books, articles, stuff you enjoy. When you encounter words you don't know, don't just gloss over them. Look them up in context and actually try to use them in your own writing or conversation. Small steps. Don't try to cram a bunch in at once. Just a few new words each week is realistic and helpful. What kind of reading do you prefer?
Okay, so my next question is that what role does reading play in a better writing?
Oh, reading is huge. It's like weight training for your brain. When you read widely, you soak up different styles, sentence structures, ways of organizing thoughts. You start to see what works and what doesn't. It's like having a bunch of writing teachers in your head, but they're just authors you admire. It also gives you a model to build from instead of having to create from scratch every time. What kind of stuff do you like to read usually?
Okay, so my next question is that from you, what are common mistakes in communication?
Hmm. There are a few big ones: jargon, using industry terms that people don't understand, assuming too much, thinking people already know something when they don't, rambling without a clear focus, not listening enough. Communication is two-way. And a big one, not tailoring your message to your audience. You have to think about who you're talking to get your point across. Do any of these sound like things you catch yourself doing sometimes?
Okay, so my next question is that from you, how do I know if my writing in clear?
That's a smart question. There are a couple ways to check. The first is really simple. Ask a friend or colleague to read something you've written and then tell you what they understood. A fresh set of eyes can catch confusion you missed. The second is to read it out loud. Sometimes when you hear yourself say it, awkward phrasing or confusing sentences jump out at you. What have you tried before to get feedback on your writing?
Okay, so my next question is that how can I structure my ideas locally?
Good question. Before you even start writing, I find it helps to either make an outline, just list out the key points you want to cover in order, or to brainstorm a bit first. Just dump all your ideas onto the page and then try grouping them into logical categories. Once you have those main points, you can arrange them in an order that makes sense to the reader. Does outlining or brainstorming make more sense to you?
Okay, so my next question is that from you, what tools help in a brainstorming?
Oh, you mean brainstorming? My bad. Not sure what brand streaming was there. Okay, for brainstorming, mind maps are great for visual thinkers. Free writing, just writing nonstop for like 10 minutes, can work for getting ideas onto the page quickly. And even just bullet point lists are super helpful to get stuff down logically. You can do them all digitally or on paper, whatever works for you. Do you tend to do better with digital tools or pen and paper?
Okay, so my next question is that how do I offline my thoughts before writing?
I think you mean organize, not offline. That's cool though. When your thoughts are swirling around in your head, try journaling. Just write down everything without worrying about grammar or order. It's like mental decluttering. Then look back and see what patterns emerge. Mm-mm. Another thing is talking it out. Sometimes just explaining something to someone helps clarify it in your own mind first. Do you do any free form journaling already?
Okay, so my next question is that what makes a strong introduction?
A strong introduction grabs attention and sets expectations. Something that hooks the reader from the first line, a question, a surprising fact, a vivid image. Then it should state your main point clearly so people know what they're getting into. And finally, it should give them a reason to care. Tell them why what you're about to say matters. Think of it like a roadmap or appetizer. Give people a reason to keep reading.
Okay, so my next question is that how do I maintain flow in my writing?
Flow is key. You want readers to feel like they're moving through your writing effortlessly. Use transition words between paragraphs to connect ideas. Vary sentence structure. Avoid too many short, choppy sentences in a row. Break up long paragraphs with shorter ones. And keep the same voice throughout. Don't switch from formal to casual unexpectedly. Does that make sense?
Okay, so my next question is that how can I connect ideas smoothly?
Transition words are your best friend here. Things like however, therefore, in addition, for example. But it's also about showing the relationship between ideas. Explain how one idea builds on the previous one or contrasts with it. Think about cause and effect, compare and contrast. Help the reader see those connections clearly instead of just dropping random ideas next to each other.
Okay, so my next question is that what role do example play in explanation?
Examples are huge. They take abstract ideas and make them concrete. Think of it like this: you could explain what hope means all day, but telling a story about someone who found hope in a really tough situation, way more impactful. Examples give your ideas weight, make them relatable, and help people really understand what you're trying to say.
Okay, so my next question is that how can I avoid confusion my readers?
That's a really important skill. Keep your sentences clear and concise. Avoid really long, winding sentences with a bunch of clauses. Define unfamiliar terms instead of assuming your readers know them. If your topic is complex, break it down into smaller steps or sections. And when possible, write from the reader's perspective. What will they already know, and what do you need to explain first? I'm gonna go ahead and get the phones. I
Okay,
just
Maya.
letting you know I'm here when you're ready to get.
Okay, Maya. So my
I'm
next
here.
question is that how can I write concisely without losing meaning?
That's a tricky but important skill. Keeping writing focused while still being clear. To avoid losing meaning, think about staying as concise as possible. Every sentence should have a clear purpose that connects to your main topic. Reread your writing later and cut out any words or phrases that don't add actual information. Less can really be more.
Okay, so my next question is that how can I make complex ideas simple?
Break it down into smaller parts. Think of it like explaining something to a friend who knows nothing about the topic. What steps do you take? Analogies can also be really helpful. Compare the complex idea to something familiar and use concrete examples, not abstract ones. That way, people can ground it in something they already understand. Does that approach make sense?
Okay, so my next question is that how can I use active voice effectively?
Active voice is powerful because it's direct and clear. Instead of the report was written by me, say, I wrote the report. The subject is doing the action instead of having it done to them. It makes your writing punchier and less stuffy. Try to rewrite passive sentences until the actor is clear and in charge. It often makes your writing a lot stronger.
Okay, so my next question is that how can
Okay,
I make my ideas memorable?
it's a great goal. People remember things that stick in their minds. Use stories and examples instead of just facts. Metaphors and analogies can also make ideas more relatable. Repetition can help too, rephrasing important points in different ways. And finally, appeal to emotions. When people feel something, they're much more likely to remember what you said. How do you think you could bring your personal stories or experiences into your writing?
Okay, so my next question is that how do I avoid sounding robotic?
Good question. No one wants to read robotic writing. Inject some personality, your voice, your sense of humor, your perspective. Use contractions and vary your sentence structure. Read your writing out loud to make sure it sounds natural and conversational. Avoid cliches or overly formal language. And don't be afraid to be human in your writing. It's okay to sound like, well, you.
Okay, so my next question is that how can I develop my unique writing style?
That's an interesting question. You know what they say about imitation? Most writers start by copying their favorite authors. Once you experiment with different styles, you can start to see what feels authentic to you, what rhythms or patterns are natural for your voice. Write a lot, try different styles. The best styles develop naturally over time through practice, so keep writing, and eventually something will start to feel like your own. Do you have any writers whose work you especially admire?
Okay, so my next question is that how do I balance formal and informal writing?
That really depends on your audience. A good rule of thumb is to match your tone to the context. If you're writing a formal report or essay, keep it professional. But if you're writing to friends or in a less formal setting, feel free to be more casual. If
Okay.
you're unsure, err on the side of slightly more formal. You can always loosen up later if needed. What kind of writing are you typically doing these days?
Okay. So my next question is that from you, how can a humor improve communication?
Are you asking how can humor improve communication?
Yes, humor improve
If so,
communication.
that's a really good. Okay, I think you meant humor, as in how can humor improve communication?
Yes. Give me answer.
Humor break people connect better when you make them laugh. It makes ideas more memorable. It diffuses tension. A little levity can turn a tough conversation around. But it's also risky. Humor can fall flat or even offend if you're not careful about knowing your audience and keeping it appropriate. Use it to connect and make points memorable, but be mindful of context. Does that make sense?
Okay, so my next question is that how can I explain my ideas clearly in a conversation?
Structure helps, even when you're talking. Start with the main point first. Break it down into steps or simple categories. Use real world examples instead of jargon. Pause to check for understanding. Ask, does that make sense? Or am I being clear? And finally, avoid rambling. Keep it concise and focused on the key message. Do any of those stand out to you as things you might practice?
Okay. Nice to meet you, Maya. Thank you so
That
much.
was a pretty. It was really nice meeting you too, Vilsha. Good luck with all that writing and communication practice. You're clearly thinking about this thoughtfully. Take care.
Hmm. So everyone, this was Maya. So I meet you again next Maya, inshallah. So Pakistan, Zindabad. Allah Hafiz.
Inshallah. Take care, and I look forward to talking with you again. Allah Hafiz. Pakistan Zindabad.